Las Vegas Sayadaw, Bodhipakkhya Sangaha. Now we'll study Bodhipakkhya Sangaha. This is very, very important. Very important. When we practice meditation, we experience all of this Bodhipakkhya Sangaha. If we develop these to perfection, we gain enlightenment. Bodhipakkhya Sangaha concerns itself with the Four Satipaṭṭhāna, the Four Samapaṭṭhāna, the Four Iddhipada, the Five Indriya, the Five Bala, the Seven Bojjhanga, and the Eight Magganga. How many sections is that? 7. We'll study these in detail because they're very important. Meditators in particular should understand these one by one. Maybe some of you will experience all of these Bodhipakkhya. First, we should be sure that we understand the meaning of Bodhipakkhya Sangaha. Bodhi means enlightenment. Pakkhya means on the side of, so Bodhipakkhya means on the side of enlightenment. Factors of enlightenment or requisites of enlightenment. To gain enlightenment, we need all of these factors. So Bodhipakkhya Sangaha is the compendium of categories pertaining to enlightenment, or briefly, the factors of enlightenment. The Four Satipaṭṭhāna. Let's start by looking at Satipaṭṭhāna. You already know this, right? How many Satipaṭṭhāna do we have? 4. We will talk about the Four Satipaṭṭhāna. What does sati mean? Mindfulness, or awareness. Paṭṭhāna means foundation. Satipaṭṭhāna is the foundation of mindfulness. When you study the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, you will see how the Buddha talked about there being just one way for the purification of being, the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, the cessation of pain and grief, the attainment of the supramundane path, and for the realization of nibbana. He said there's only one way. If we go another way, we cannot gain enlightenment and experience these things. The Buddha said there is only one way. What is the way? He explained that the only way is the foundation of mindfulness. This means that if we really want to achieve purification of being, we need to follow this way. Without doing so, our mind cannot be purified. So I'd like to explain why they call this purification of being. What does this mean? 138 Bodhipakkhya Sangaha. We studied kilesas, impurities, right? We have 10 kinds of impurities. If any one of these 10 impurities arise in a person's mind, that person's mind is not pure. To accomplish purity of being, we need to eradicate all of these mental impurities. So what do we need to do? We need to practice meditation. When we follow the foundations of mindfulness meditation, we can eradicate all of these various kinds of mental defilements or impurities. When beings have lobha, greed, hatred, delusion, and so on, their minds are not pure. As their minds are not pure, their verbal and physical actions are bad. That is, they say and do bad things. They will have to take responsibility for what they've done in this present life, and in the next life they might have to be reborn in a woeful state. Even if they've done enough meritorious things to support them to be reborn as a human being again, they might be born with bad teeth, poor health, or perhaps a short life. This is because of these impurities. So to get rid of these impurities, we need to practice meditation. The Buddha explained that this is the one way that leads to the purification of being. What about overcoming sorrow and lamentation? If you do something wrong and then think about it afterward, oh, I did something terrible, sorrow occurs, right? Or perhaps you lose a member of your family or someone near and dear to you, perhaps your husband or wife, a parent, a child, or maybe a friend. You feel sorrow, right? You lament, cry, and cry all the time. Some people even cry when they lose their cat, right? What do we need to do? Practice meditation. Be aware of your mind. If your mind has any kind of thought, just make a mental note. Try to stay with your mindfulness. Then, you don't need to cry. So the Buddha said that we need to practice Satipaṭṭhāna, mindfulness meditation, to overcome sorrow and lamentation. What about the cessation of pain and grief? Pain regards the body, right? And grief regards the mind. What do we need to do? Just practice meditation. Just follow the foundations of mindfulness meditation. You can get rid of pain and grief. What about those who would like to attain the supramundane path or enlightenment? You can't do it by simply praying. We need to practice mindfulness meditation to gain enlightenment. How about the realization of Nibbana? What is the ultimate goal of Buddhism? Nibbana. It is liberation. What do we need to do to realize Nibbana? We just need to practice meditation. There is only this one way. 139 Las Vegas Sayadaw. So sati is very important. It prevents the mind from wandering around the sense objects. It's like a security guard. You have 6 doors, right? You have the eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, and mind door. We need to be mindful all the time. If there is no security guard at these 6 doors, who will come? A thief. He will get in your house and take valuable things. You will lose. If you lack mindfulness at your eye and see something attractive, what happens? I like that. I want it. What is that? Craving or attachment. It's greed. This is because the object is attractive and desirable. If the object is undesirable, what do you feel? I don't like that. I hate it. Hatred, anger, or maybe jealousy. Why? No mindfulness. With Satipaṭṭhāna, if we see something, what do we have to do? Just know, seeing. If you see something, note it. Seeing, then come back to your primary object. If we have Satipaṭṭhāna, it's like a security guard. No mental defilements can get in. Then, these mental impurities can't steal anything from you. When you practice meditation and are aware all the time, in every moment, you develop your morality, your concentration, and your wisdom. You will understand the nature of mind and matter in every moment. This means that with every moment you are developing your virtue perfections, your sila, samadhi, and panya, to make it higher and higher. When you lack mindfulness, lobha and hatred come instead of wholesome consciousness. When unwholesome consciousness arises in your mind, you lost your opportunity, right? Sati is very important. And it's not just for the eyes. When you hear, smell, taste, touch, or think about something, you should be mindful all the time. Whatever your practice is, maybe you practice tranquility meditation, or perhaps insight, vipassana meditation too. You need Satipaṭṭhāna. The foundations of mindfulness meditation is the one way to gain enlightenment. So, Satipaṭṭhāna consists of how many realities? There are 4 kinds of mindfulness, right? 1. Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. 2. Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. 3. Chittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. 4. Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. 140. Bodhipakkhya Sangha. There is just one reality. What is it? The Paramatha Dhamma, the essential property, is just sati. Sati is a beautiful mental factor. Whichever of the 59 types of beautiful consciousness arises, sati is always associated with it, right? But here, it associates with only 42 types of consciousness, including the 8 types of sense-sphere beautiful consciousness, the 8 types of sense-sphere functional consciousness, and the 26 types of apana jhana. Altogether, that's 42 types of consciousness. Q. Can you please remind me what the apana jhana are? They are sublime jhana. Sublime refers to rupavakara and arupavakara. These 26 apana jhana include the 9 types of sublime wholesome consciousness, the 9 types of functional consciousness, and the 8 types of supramundane consciousness. Let's look at the meaning of Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. Kaya here does not only refer to the body. Sometimes kaya means the body, right? But here it refers to the body breathing in and breathing out. In this context, kaya means anapana, and the word anupassana means repeated contemplation on. Q. It's not about movement. It's more about breath here. It's specifically about breathing in and breathing out, but also includes movement. We'll discuss it in more detail later. It's contemplation of the body. Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is contemplation of feelings, and Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is contemplation of thoughts. Lastly, Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is contemplation of Dhamma, which means mental objects in this context. Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. When it comes to contemplation of breathing in and breathing out, We have many techniques we can use. Some people count the breath. For example, breathing in, 1. Breathing out, 1. Breathing in, 2. Breathing out, 2. In other words, they count each breath cycle from 1 to 10. This is for tranquility meditation. 141. Las Vegas Sayadaw. Other people do it a little differently. Breathing in, 1. Breathing out, 2. Breathing in, 3. Breathing out, 4. They count each breath segment from 1 to 10. There are also people who just concentrate on tee-hee touching sensation at their nostrils as they breathe in and breathe out, breathing in and breathing out. Either way is okay for Kayanupasana Satipatthana. Kaya here means breathing in and breathing out, but also we can contemplate on our posture, whether we're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. When you sit, you know you're sitting. Sitting, touching, sitting, touching. You know you're sitting. When you're walking, you know you're walking. Walking, walking, walking. You know the movement of your legs and body. When you're standing, you know you're standing. And when you're lying down, you know you're lying down. When you contemplate on these 4 postures, it's called Kayanupasana Satipaṭṭhāna. There's also something called contemplation on comprehension. Comprehension here means that you contemplate in this way. When you are going forward, you know you're going forward. When you are going backward, you know you're going backward. If you turn back, you know you're turning back. If you look forward, you know you're looking forward. If you look backward, you know you're looking backward. If you're bending, you know you're bending. And if you're stretching, you know you're stretching. Comprehension is all about awareness of whatever it is that the body is doing. If you are reaching, you know you're reaching. If you're taking something, you know you're taking. If you are leaning down, you know you're leaning down. This is comprehension of whatever you're doing. In the same way, if you're talking, you know you're talking. If you're listening, you know you're listening. As you prepare your property or your clothes, you know this too. We call this comprehension. This is all regarding the body, right? We call it Kayanupasana Satipatthāna. Also, when you eat, know that you're eating, chewing, swallowing, taking food. All of these are comprehension. See? It's not merely sati, mindfulness. We should have comprehension, which is knowing what we are doing. Sometimes, we may contemplate the 32 parts of the body, including hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, and so on. If 142 Bodhipakkhya Sangaha, you contemplate the 32 parts of the body, it's also Kayanupasana, Satipaṭṭhāna. Most of these 32 parts are internal. We can also analyze the 4 elements in terms of their characteristics. The characteristics of the earth element are hardness and softness. The characteristics of the fire element are cold and heat/warmth. The characteristics of the air element are supporting or moving, and the characteristics of the water element are cohesion and fluidity. These are their characteristics. If you contemplate the 4 kinds of elements in terms of their characteristics, it is also considered Kayanupasana Satipatthāna. Kaya concerns the body, right? So breathing in and out, posture, movement, the 32 parts of the body, and the 4 elements are considered Kayanupasana Satipatthāna. We can also compare our body with a dead body. In the old days, meditators would go to a cemetery. They didn't cremate dead bodies like we do today. And even if they did, they would put the dead body in a cemetery for a few days or a week. Meditators would go there to look at the dead bodies and compare them to their body in terms of loathsomeness. They did this to get rid of craving. This technique is also considered a part of Kayanupasana Satipatthāna. Satipatthana has just one reality, right? It's sati. Then why did the Buddha teach 4 kinds of Satipatthana? Because their objects differ. What's the object of Kayanupasana Satipatthana? The body, right? What's the object of Vedananupasana Satipatthana? Sensation or feeling. The object of Cittanupasana Satipatthana? Thought. And the object of Dhammanupasana Satipatthana? Mental objects. So the objects differ. Also, the seeing is different, as well as the abandoning. This is why there are 4 kinds of Satipaṭṭhāna. The object, the seeing, and the abandoning or eradication are different. We'll talk about this more next time. Time's up for today. Thank you. Any questions? Q. Are Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna and Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna mostly about the body, and in contrast, Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna and Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna mostly about mind? Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna contemplates the body. Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna contemplates only feeling. But this includes bodily and 143 Las Vegas Sayadaw mental feeling, right? If we have a painful feeling, it regards kaya, right? Remember that we have 5 kinds of feeling. 2 kinds regard the body, and 3 kinds regard the mind. But here, we don't say that one feeling is body and another is mind. It's just feeling. Q. Do these Satipaṭṭhāna go in the order you described them? I mean, do they get more and more subtle? Kaya is very gross and dense, so you just pay attention to the body. But do these Satipaṭṭhāna get more subtle? In other words, is Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna the most subtle of the 4? It depends on your concentration. No matter which Satipaṭṭhāna is your object, everything is subtle if you have good concentration. Even with Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, you might experience your breath disappearing. So it depends on your concentration. Q. I just wanted to get clarification on your answer to a question I had earlier. I think you said that Saṅkhara can be the same as Satana, but Saṅkhara can also be other things. Can Satana be other things? No. Satana can only be volition. Today is March 7th, 1999. We will continue talking about Satipaṭṭhāna, or the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness is very important for meditators, because it prevents the mind from wandering to other sensed objects, and also keeps the mind fixed attentively and firmly on a single object of meditation. Therefore, the 4 foundations of mindfulness are indispensable for the development of tranquility meditation and insight, vipassana meditation. The reality of these 4 foundations of mindfulness is only sati-satasika. But even though there is just that one reality, the Buddha explained mindfulness in a 4-fold way, right? This is because they have different objects. The object of Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is body. The object of Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is feelings. The object of Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is mind, consciousness or thoughts. And the object of Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna is Dhamma objects or mental objects. 144 Bodhipakkhiya Sanghaha. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the first Satipaṭṭhāna, which is Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. We learned what Kaya means, and what we need to contemplate on. One of the things we can contemplate on, with regard to the body, is its 32 impure parts, including hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, bones, sweat, blood, saliva, urine, feces, and so on. We'll study these 32 parts in detail later, but what do we see when we contemplate on these 32 parts, one by one? We see the body as disgusting. See how the object is different, and the seeing is different. You will see the body as disgusting. The Buddha taught us to contemplate our body to see its disgusting aspects. When you see these disgusting aspects, you will eradicate the wrong view that the body is beautiful. Some people say, my body is so beautiful. But when we see how disgusting it actually is, we can eradicate and abandon the wrong view that the body is beautiful. So can you see how abandoning is also different? When we contemplate on the body, the object is the body, the seeing is disgust, and abandoned is the wrong view that the body is beautiful. Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. This is contemplation of feelings. We have 5 kinds of feelings, right? 2 of them regard the body, and 3 of them regard the mind. Briefly, there are 3 types of feeling: pleasurable, displeasurable, and neutral. What will you see if you focus your mind on feeling? First, you may see a pleasurable feeling. Then, that pleasurable feeling will turn into a displeasurable feeling. The feeling changes. It changes all the time. And when you see these feelings changing all the time, you will see that these feelings are oppressed by arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. What do you see then? Dukkha, or suffering. Mostly you'll see suffering. You might notice, just then I felt comfortable, but now I am uncomfortable. You will see the changing of feeling. We call this dukkha. See how it's not just pain that is dukkha. Suffering here also refers to whatever is being oppressed by arising and disappearing. This suffering will be clear to your view. So when you contemplate on feelings, you will see suffering. When you see suffering, you can eradicate the wrong view that this 145 Las Vegas sayadaw feeling and this mind and body are sources of pleasure. It is because you see suffering that you will know that sukha just leads to dukkha. By seeing this, you will eradicate the wrong view that this body and mind are pleasurable. They are just dukkha. This Vedananupasana Satipaṭṭhāna is very important. It's very obvious to everyone. When we practice meditation, Vedana occurs to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Let's look at some examples. When an external object comes in contact with your eye, what happens? If it's a desirable object, what kind of feeling arises? Pleasurable. If the object is undesirable, a displeasurable feeling arises. And if the object is neither good nor bad, an indifferent feeling arises. If you don't contemplate on Vedana, when you see a desirable object, a pleasurable feeling will arise and that will lead to craving, lobha. If it's an undesirable object, a displeasurable feeling will arise and lead to dosa, anger. If there's a neutral feeling, moha arises. You either won't know the nature of the object, or you'll ignore it, right? Ignorance is moha. So if we don't contemplate Vedana, there will be lobha, dosa, and moha. Q. Ultimately, do we want to experience all of our sensations as upekkha? Instead of feeling pleasure or pain, should we see them all in a neutral way? Just see them as they really are. Usually, pleasurable feelings or displeasurable feelings are very obvious and clear. But neutral feelings are usually not so clear. If we don't watch our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, we won't understand the feelings, and we may end up ignoring them. If we see something as just seeing, there is just seeing consciousness arising and disappearing. Seeing consciousness is cakkhuviññāna. It is upekkha sahagata cakkhuviññāna, right? It is eye consciousness accompanied by indifferent feeling. If we have just seeing, we are contemplating with upekkha. Without mindfulness, the three kinds of feelings can produce lobha, dosa, and moha. As you know, pleasurable feelings can become craving, displeasurable feelings can become anger, and neutral feelings can become moha. You ignore neutral feelings, right? This is why we have 146 Bodhipakkhiya Sangha to be aware of feelings all the time with whatever occurs at our 6 sense doors. Otherwise, lobha, dosa, and moha will arise. We should practice in accordance with these foundations of mindfulness. We should contemplate on feelings. Whatever kind of feeling arises in the body or mind, it must be realized and stopped right there. If you're happy, just know, happy, 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 and it will stop right there and go no further. If you don't stop it right there and it goes further, it will lead to grasping, and you may think, speak, or act with the intention to get or prolong that feeling. We call this paticcasamuppada, or the law of dependent origination. It just keeps on going. That's why we need to stop Vedana. When we see, it's just seeing. When we hear, it's just hearing. When we smell, it's just smelling. When we taste, it's just tasting. When we touch, it's just touching. And when we think, it's just thinking. When we practice like this, it will stop right there. So what do we need? We need sati, or mindfulness. Kha. So we should keep upekkha with all experiences? We're trying to keep upekkha, right? Yes, you can say that too. But when you see suffering, you can abandon the wrong view of pleasure. Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. Sometimes our mind is passionate, sometimes it is dispassionate, sometimes it is angry, and sometimes it is lazy. Whatever occurs in the mind, we should make a mental note, realize it, and identify it right away. We should know, I'm angry or I'm lazy. Realize it and know. Briefly, we should know what kind of consciousness we are experiencing. We studied 121 types of consciousness, of course, but meditators can't contemplate all of these. We can only contemplate mundane consciousness. We cannot make supramundane consciousness the object of our meditation. When you want something, we call this having a passionate mind. If it arises, just realize it. And when that mind goes away, know that too. Or if you don't want something or you get angry, know that. If you feel lazy, know it as well. 147 Las Vegas Sayadaw. Contemplating our mind like this is called Four Satipaṭṭhāna. The arising and disappearing of the mind is more obvious than that of matter. Do you remember when we talked about how mind arises and disappears 17 times faster than matter? On the occasion of matter arising and disappearing a single time, mind has arisen and disappeared 17 times. So mind is 17 times faster than matter. When you contemplate on this mind, you will see your mind just wandering around. You'll want something, this or that, and then you'll get angry about something else. Then you'll feel happy as a new pleasurable stimulant presents itself. All of this will occur in just a few minutes. The mind can change many, many times. You will see this changing more clearly than when you contemplate on the body. You see that the mind moves very quickly, arising and disappearing. You can try to sit in meditation for 5 minutes, but your mind can travel all over the world in that time, right? You can see this impermanence. When you contemplate the mind, you see impermanence very clearly. There is just arising and disappearing over and over. This impermanence is mostly what you see. When you see this impermanence, you can abandon the wrong view that the mind is permanent. Some people hold the view that their mind doesn't really change. They may think that they've had essentially the same mind since they were born. The fact of the matter is that it's not the same mind. As we study and practice meditation, we know that the mind arises and disappears all the time. It is so clear to us that the mind is impermanent. So when you see impermanence, you will abandon the wrong view of the mind being permanent. It's the opposite, right? If you see impermanence, you know that there is not permanence. We have to know the object, the seeing, and the abandoning. Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. This is contemplation on Dhamma, or mental objects. In this context, there are 5 Dhamma, mental objects. 1. Nivarana, hindrances. We already studied these. 148 Bodhipakkhiya Sanghaha 2, Khanda, the 5 aggregates. 3 Getana, bases. This is the I base, and so on. 4. Sakha, the truth. The 4 noble truths, right? 5. Bojjhanga, the factors of enlightenment. We call these the 5 Dhamma objects. We already study hindrances, but we will study the others today, or the next time we meet. Although we haven't already studied all of them, all of you already know what the 5 aggregates are, right? You've already been introduced to the 6 sense bases and the 4 noble truths too. We'll study the 7 factors of enlightenment later. If we contemplate on one of these Dhamma objects, we can't see them with the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, or body. But we can see them with the mind. That's why we call them mental objects. What is Nivarana? Hindrances. They include sense desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse or doubt. When you contemplate on these Dhamma objects, you may see that you want something. I want this, or I want that. This is sense desire. Your duty is to recognize that a hindrance is present in your mind. When sense desire disappears, you need to know that too. This means that you know when a hindrance arises and when it disappears. This is an example of Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. Sometimes there will be ill will. You might get angry with someone, or perhaps you feel unsatisfied about something. This ill will arises in the mind. You should know it. Oh, I got angry. But you should also know when the anger disappears. There is sometimes sloth and torpor also. This is when you don't want to do anything. You don't want to sit in meditation or do anything else that is skillful. There is drowsiness in that moment. This is sloth and torpor. You should know when this hindrance is present. And when it goes away, you should recognize, oh, now I don't feel sleepy. It went away. You know this. In other words, you should know when hindrances arise and disappear. 149 Las Vegas Sayadaw. Sometimes the mind just wanders. Despite your best efforts to control the mind, it continues to wander. The mind is distracted. You should know that. And when you try to focus your mind on your primary object and your awareness is steady, you should know that your wandering mind has disappeared and been replaced with concentration. Know this. You also sometimes feel remorse over things you've not done well. You may think about the past and feel sorrow. Try to know when this occurs and when this state of mind has disappeared. You should know these things. There are also times when you feel doubt. You have doubt about something and can't make a decision. What should I do? There's doubt, right? This is vicikiccha. When it arises in your mind, realize it. When it disappears, know that too. I'm talking about Dhammanupassana, or mental objects. Everyone has experience with these. Perhaps we didn't know their names previously, but now we've studied their names and their natures. So if someone says, I have this emotion, you can know that it's a Dhamma object. Whatever arises in the mind, just observe it. This is Dhammanupassana. It is an object of meditation. Sometimes we try very hard to focus our mind on our primary object, but it just wanders. We get angry with ourselves when this happens, right? If you know the proper technique, you know that this is an inappropriate way to react to the mind's behavior. If there is anger, just acknowledge that you're angry. Know that anger has occurred. Then it will go away. It's impermanent, right? Just try to observe whatever occurs in the mind. What about khanda? We have 5 aggregates. What are they? They are body, feelings and sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Whichever one of these 5 occurs, just know this body, or this feeling, or this perception, or this mental formation, or this consciousness has arisen. Know when it has disappeared as well. These are also Dhamma objects that we should know and contemplate on. As for ayatana, we have these 6 bases: eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base, and mind base. We've already studied these. When you see something, concentrate your mind on your eye and make a mental note. Seeing, seeing. When you see, what do you see? You see the object. In order to see the object, there is eye sensitivity. When we 150 Bodhipakya Sanghaha have an eye base, a visible object, and eye sensitivity, eye consciousness arises. You should know that in every moment, objects present themselves to their respective doors, and consciousness arises. It then disappears. It just arises and disappears. This is why we need to contemplate on and observe the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. As we do, we are contemplating mental objects. Mentally note these experiences: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and so on, as appropriate to the experience. Sakka is the Noble Truths. We should know, this is suffering. Why is there suffering? We should also know the cause. In other words, you know suffering and the cause. When you contemplate on suffering and its cause, you are contemplating on Dhamma objects. The last one is Bojjhanga, of which there are 7. We'll study these later. They include mindfulness, investigation, effort, rapture, joy, concentration, and equanimity. If you contemplate on these 7, you are contemplating on Dhamma objects. The scope of this contemplation is very wide, right? We can contemplate on these 5 areas, but in brief, whatever we contemplate on, maybe our body, Vedana, consciousness, or the hindrances, aggregates, bases, truths, or factors of enlightenment. It's called Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, if we see the impermanent and suffering nature of those objects. If we contemplate on the body, Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, and see the arising and disappearing of the body, it is Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna sees the nature of mind and body. How can we tell the difference between Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna and Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna? Citta is mind. If your mind wants something, we call it a passionate mind. If you want something, this mind arises. If you don't want something, that mind arises. If it wants something, contemplate on that. Know that your mind wants something. Know that a passionate mind has arisen. Then it disappears. Know that there is no longer a passionate mind. 151. Las Vegas Sayadaw. Sometimes there is an angry mind. You're angry. Know that an angry mind has occurred. Later on, your angry mind goes away. Know that there is no longer an angry mind. As Dhamma objects, the mind contemplates hindrances, aggregates, bases, truths, and the factors of enlightenment. But briefly, if you see the nature of mind and body as arising and disappearing, in other words, you don't see body, feelings, or citta, but only arising and disappearing, then we call this Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna. So citta is about mental states coming and going? It's just mind, it's thought, it's consciousness. But, to make it easy, Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna means that you see the nature of mind and matter as arising and disappearing. When you see Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, you contemplate this mental object and see only arising and disappearing. You see this nature. There's no person here. You don't see anything as an entity, right? There's no individual. Instead, you just see arising and disappearing, which we call anatta. This means no self. You see no self, or anatta, whether it's kaya, body, vedana, feeling, or citta, mind. You have no control over their arising. This is because it's their nature to arise and disappear all the time. When you know this anatta nature of arising and disappearing, you see no body, no man, no woman. You see anatta. When you see anatta, you can abandon the wrong view that there is self, soul, or body, man or woman. You eradicate this wrong view. This is nature. So the objects are fourfold, right? With Kayanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, what do we see? Disgust or impurity in the body. Which wrong view can we then eradicate? The beauty of the body. When we contemplate Vedananupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, we see suffering. In seeing this suffering, we abandon the belief that this body and mind are pleasurable. With Cittanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, we see impermanence. When we see impermanence, we eradicate the wrong view of permanence. And when we contemplate Dhammanupassana Satipaṭṭhāna, we see no self and uncontrollability. When we do, we eradicate the wrong view of self or soul. We see that there is no immortal soul. 152.